Yeah, good evening, dear participants joining us across the globe. And just like we have promised, and on a request from what we have been getting online, some want us to go back on the review of the central tendency. And I think based on the response, we want to quickly look into the central tendency again. And of course, when we are talking about the central tendency, like I said when I started the class, we are looking at it that the central tendency focus on the three area, which is mean, median, and mode. So we want to look at it from that angle, and I want us to pick this as an example again, the central tendency. So, of course, we all know that they will give collate the data. Let me say I have a data from this now that have been collated, and I've got this score for this. So the scores between 60 to 62, 63 to 65, 66 to 68, 69 to 71, 72 to 74, 75 to 77, 78 to 80, and 81 to 83. So I want to quickly look into this. I want us to quickly look into this without collating the data. So we want to find out the major area. So I'll just give us the frequency. Instead of giving you the raw data and allow you to do the tally, I've done that here, and I just want you to just use this data. That's 1719, 8, 12, 9, 3, and 1. So what do we have to do here? Like I said, we want to measure our findings on the three things. For those that are just joining us, you're welcome to this class. So we want to make sure we find out the mean. We want to find, because like I said, the measure of central tendency majorly focus on mean, median, and mode. So we'll look at it from the perspective of group data. So the first thing you need to do is that when you want to find the mean, without wasting much of our time, is that the formula for mean, which is x bar, is equals summation fx over what? Over summation f. So that is, we need to find our summation f. Of course, this is our summation f, which is the addition of all the frequency. So when we look at this now, when we had 1 plus 7 plus 9 plus 8, when you add these two together, this is 20. When you add everything together, it's going to give us 50. So without wasting much of our time, I've got my summation fx. So that means my summation f is 50. So I've added that. So the next thing is for me to find summation fs. Like I said, for those of us that have watched our past video, when you see something like this, it means you are going to look for f, which we have got here. You are going to look for x, and you multiply the two together. It is after multiplying these two together that is when you can find addition of fx. So there is need for you to find your x. So what do we mean by that x? That x you are seeing there is standing as our midpoint. It's standing as our midpoint. So midpoint. And midpoint, if you have watched our past video, you see that midpoint is simply means addition of the lower class boundary and the other class boundary, then divide it by 2. That is the average of this. So that is, we are going to add this and this together. So if I add, that means this place is talking about 60 plus 62 and divided by 2. 60 plus 62, that will give me 120. That will give me 122. So when you divide 122 by 2, that will give us 61. So that is the midpoint. So if you do the same thing to this now, it's going to give you 128. And when you divide that 1 by 2, it will give you 64. Now, in order to save your time in examination, instead of you doing this one after the other, there is a change here, which means when you look at it here, the class size of this thing is just 3. That is 60, 61, 62. So that means the class size is what? The class size is just 3. So what you are going to do here is that once you get your first one, you get the second one. Just continue, keep adding the class size to this. So when I add 3 to 64, that will give me 67. If I add 3 to this, that will give me 70. So if I add 3, that will give me 73. If I add 3, that will give me 76. So if I add 3 to this again, that will give me 79. If I add 3 to this, that will give me 82. So I've got my, and of course, if I come here again and I add this and divide it by 2 to give me 82, if I do the same thing to this place, it's going to give me 79. If I do the same thing to this place, it's going to give me 73. If I do the same thing to this place, it's going to give me 70, as we can see. So the next thing to do now is for you to get your fx, that is the multiplication of x and what? And f. So I'll just show you the first example. It means you are looking for 1 multiplied by 61. That is the values of the x. So 1 multiplied by 61 will give us 61. So let's continue from there. The next one is that I'm going to add calculator, please. So I'm going to multiply 7 multiplied by this 64. So if I multiply 7 by that 64, so if I multiply that together with this, it's going to give me 448. So 9 multiplied by 67, that will give me 603. 8 multiplied by 70, that will give me 560. 12 multiplied by 73, that will give me 876. Then 9 multiplied by 76, that will give me 684. Then let me move to 3 multiplied by 79, that will give me 237. Then let me say 1 multiplied by 82, that will give me 82. Now I'm going to add all this together to get my summation fx. For those of us that are joining us online, can you do the addition for us? Let's see if you can manage to do the addition within the short period of time, because we have 3 things to do. Those that are joining us, can you try? Can you try? Let's try that and add everything together. So by my own calculation here, if I add everything together here, it will give me 3,551. So it will give me 3,551. So it means my summation fs is equals 3,551. So my mean now, which is x bar, will be equals to 3,551 to be divided by 50. So if I divide it by 50, what is it going to give me? Yes, it will give me 71.02. So with this, I've got my mean for this value. So can you confirm if you are working with me? Can you confirm that if you are working with me? Can you confirm that if you are working with me? Those that are working with me. So our mean there is 71.02. It will be 71.02. So let's move away from there. We have got our mean now. The next thing is for us to get our median. Our median and what? And mode. So what is the formula? At this point, or let me say at this juncture, I will need to divide those things one after the other. We need to divide those things one after the other. And what exactly do we need when you are finding? What are those things do you need when you are finding when you are looking for the median? What are those things do you need to do when you are looking for median? So I will erase. I'm going to clean this now because I don't need this again for media. For median, I don't need all this. So I have to clean all this now away. So what did I need for median and mode? And that's why many students used to face a lot of challenges when it comes to finding median and mode. It is easier to get mean, but median is somehow difficult to get for people. And I know it's very simple if you can follow the step one after the other. So the first thing to do is that you first of all need to know the formula for median. So the first thing is that what is that formula for median? So the median formula is equals L1 plus, that L1 is standing as the lower class boundary, into N over 2 minus FB. I will come back and explain this. Multiply by class interval, and you divide everything by FW. Some will call it FM, some will call it FW, depend on what the textbook is saying. But whatever I put here, I'm going to give the definition one after the other. Now, as you can see now, I said the formula for median simply means L1 plus, like I said, you don't need to feel panic. You don't need to constitute any fear. The only thing you need to have at the back of your mind is that no examining body, almost all the examining body will allow you to come into the examination with your 4-figure table. So I will have all this formula in the 4-figure table. So there's no point cramming the formula or writing the formula anywhere that will become an exhibit for you when you are caught in an examination hall. So you need to, you don't need to constitute any fear of, oh, how do I know the formula? How do I record the formula when I get into the examination? No. Of course, if you are able to, memorize the formula, it's fine because you will be free. But you need to be sure that you really know the formula. Otherwise, you can just get your 4-figure table, which is allowed in any examining body. So by any examining body. So when you see the formula now, that is L1 plus N over 2 minus FB over FW, then multiply by C. I'm going to define this one after the other. But before I define this, for you to find any median and mode, there is something that is important that we call cumulative frequency. It's very important. You need to get your cumulative frequency. And the cumulative frequency is just normal things that we do, we do while we are during our high school, or let me say in Nigeria here, we say secondary school. So you have to start with what? With the first number, which is 1. So you add it to the next number under the frequency. If I add 1 plus 7, that will give me 8. If I add 8 plus 9, of course, that will give me 17. If I add 17 plus 8, that will give me 25. If I add 25 to this, that will give me 37. If I add 37 to 9, of course, that will give me 36. If I add 36 to 3 here, yes, that will give me, if I add that to this, that will give me 39. And if I add 1 to this, that will give me 40. I think there is a little bit error in what we did here. Or you see, from here, let's check it again. 1 plus 8, okay. So when we add this to this, that will give us 37. When we add 37 to this, oh, this is where the error lies. So let's look at it here. Just imagine. So when you add 9 to this, of course, this will give me 46. If I add 46 to this, that will give me 49. And if I add 49 to this, that will give me 50. Yes, that's just an error that you just need to discover earlier. Otherwise, because your summation F, that is the addition of the frequency, must be equal to the last numbers on the word, on the cumulative frequency. So let's come back to the explanation of the median now. Let's come back to the explanation of the median now. So let's see this, the explanation on the median. What is the explanation all about? I will explain this one after the other. The explanation is not far from when you see the formula. Like I said, the L1, I will define this one after the other. The L1 is talking about, okay, or let me start this. Let me start in this way. Before I define this, let's first of all talk about this n over what? N over 2 is the most important thing. Is the most important things you need to get. So the most important thing, your n is more or less as your cumulative frequency. So that is the total addition of the frequency, which is what? 50 divided by 2. So 50 divided by 2, that will give you a what? 25. So that means your median class fall on 25, wherever you can see 25, or wherever that 25 fall. If you look at this now, we are just fortunate that that 25 is here. Sometimes it could be higher than this place. The number here could be 30, could be 28, 29. But since the number, when you look at the cumulative frequency here, this is 17. The next number to 17 is 25. So we are just fortunate that the n divided by 2 is 25. Sometimes this place could be 27. So that means that your 25 fell within this range. So that means our median class now has been identified as what? As at this level. So the next thing now is that since you have got your what is it called? Your median class, which is between 69 to 71 now. The next thing is for you to find your L1. So now what is your L1? Your L1 is the lower class boundary. Your L1 is the lower class boundary of your frequency. So if I come here now, if I come and say I want to do class boundaries, if I do class boundary, the class boundary for this first one, that means you just take 0.5 away. So this will just become 59.5. Just take 0.5 away to 62.5. So that means 59.5 is the lower class boundary of this class, and 62.5 is the upper class boundary. So if I come here, this will be 62.5, and this will become 65.5. So if I come here, this will become 65.5. Just take 0.5 away, and this will become 68.5. Come here, this will become 68.5 minus 71.5. The funniest part of this is that when you look for the difference between the upper class boundary and the lower class boundary, it must be equal to the class size. It must be equal to class size. Let's just practicalize this. Let's take this one for instance now. 71.5, you are taking 68.5 away. Take this away from this. This is 0. Take 61 away from 68 away from 71. Of course, that will give you 3. And that is why the class size is what? Is 3. So here now, our lower class boundary is just what? It will be 68.5. I've got my lower class boundary. So the next thing now is the FB that you are seeing here. What is that FB? FB simply means the FB you are seeing there. It means sum of the frequency before the median class. That is, what is that addition you did? The cumulative frequency before the median class. This is the median class now. And the addition you did before that place is what? Is 17. So the cumulative frequency before the median class is what we mean by this FB, which is what? Which is 17. So you take it away from there now, we have FW. What is FW? FW simply means the frequency within the median class. What is the frequency of that median class? Can somebody talk to me? Those that are online, what is the frequency of that median class? What's the frequency? Rosemary, what's the frequency? Can you type? What is the frequency? Those that are joining us, what's the frequency? Can we type it? The frequency of the median class. I want someone to type it here. All right, so the frequency of this median class, of course, is what? Is this 8. which we are seeing here, is 8. So the next thing after that is to get what? Your C. Your C simply means the class size, which you have got here, the class size, 60, 61, 62. So the class size is just what? 3. So here now, let's pack everything into this formula. So packing everything into the formula now, you need to bring your calculator. Like I said, in any statistic examination or any examination that has to do with statistics, you will need your calculator, scientific calculator, not calculator on your phone. No examining body will allow phone in the examination. So let's go into that now. So pack everything into the formula. We have 68.5 plus n over 2, that is 25, minus cumulative frequency before the median class, that is what? 17. Everything divided by the frequency of the median class, which is 8, multiplied by our class size, which is what? 3. So follow your BODMAS here. You treat those one inside bracket first. So let's treat those one inside bracket. Take 17 away from 25. That will give you 8. And that's 8. Okay, let me just manage here. This will give you 8 divided by 8 multiplied by what? 3. So this will be 68.5 plus 8 divided by 8 will give us 1. 1 multiplied by 3, that will give us what? 3. So that means you are going to add 68.5 plus 3. And that will give us 71.5. Of course, when you look at it, that when we got our mean is 71.02. So that's why they call it central tendency, because the figure of both mean, median, and mode must be within the same range. It must be within the same range. So therefore, without wasting much of our time, we have got the median class. Okay, so the next thing now is let's move on to mode. Let's move on to mode, which is the last thing we have to do here. So let's move on to mode. So let's move on to mode. So let me clean this again so that we can use this place for our mode. So that we can use this place for our mode. So our mode now, what is the formula for mode? What is the formula for mode? So what is the formula for our mode? Mode as well is L1 plus, you have to open your bracket and get what we call D1 over D1 plus D2 multiplied by class size. Multiplied by class size. So I'm going to define this one as well. Because you need to know some textbook will use data. Some textbook will use data 1, data 2. So you must know the difference between data 1 and data 2. Some textbook will use F1 and F2. Depends on whatever they use. But whatever they use, they are still saying the same thing. So, but for the sake of this class, I'm going to use D1 and what? And D2. So before you can get your D1 and D2, you need to first of all get the modal class. Just like the same thing we did when we are looking for median. You need to get your n divided by 2 to know where the median class falls. So the same thing is applicable to mode. What is mode? To a layman, mode is the highest occurrent frequency. That is the where you can see the highest number. When we look at this frequency now, when we say what categories of score is more, the categories of scores that is more here is between 72 and what? And 74. So that means our modal class is what? Is this place, which is 12. So that means our modal class is between 72 to what? To 74. So if our modal class is between 72 to 74, what is the lower class boundary of that place? And don't forget, we are continuing with lower class boundary. So this place will be 71.5. And this upper class boundary will be 74.5. This will be 74.5. And this place will be 77.5. This place will be 77.5 to 80.5. and this will be 80.5 to 83.5. So the lower class boundaries of this modal class is the what? When you trace it now, that will be 71.5. Now the next thing now is, what is your data 1? What is your data 2? What is your data? What is your D1? What is your D2? In some textbook, like I said, they can use F1 or F2. Whatever things you use, it still means the same thing. So what is your F1? The F1, your data 1 simply means the difference between the modal frequency class and the frequency of the next lower class. I don't know if maybe I should take that again. D1 is the difference between the modal frequency and the frequencies of the next lower class. Next lower class. So that means everything you are going to work on here is within the number, the frequency before and the frequency after, for both your D1 and D2. So for D1 now, your D1 is going to be the difference between the modal class frequency, and the frequency of the next lower. The frequency of the next lower. So the frequency of the next lower. So when we look at it now, what is the frequencies of the next lower? For the sake of this one, you see that the number is arranged in descending order. That's why you need to be very careful here. This one is arranged in what? Sorry, this one is arranged in ascending order. That's 60 is ascending order. Some may be in descending order. That is, it will just be from what? From 81, then it will be coming down to 60 something. But if you look at this one, this is in ascending order. It's increasing. So for the sake of this one now, so what is going to be our D1?